Welcome back. My chicken eggs have now been incubating for 8 days, so it's time that I want to go have a look at how they're doing. Now you can look at your chicken eggs through candling at really any time until lockdown, and you'll see different things throughout. I like to minimize it just so that I'm not disrupting the temperature and the humidity of the incubation too much. So I like to look at them before I put them in the incubator at 8 days, maybe 12 if I'm wondering about something, and then just before lockdown. When I candled my eggs before I put them in the incubator, the main thing that I was looking for was the condition of the shell. So if I'd found any hairline cracks or really thin and kind of spotted shell, then I would know that that egg was less likely to turn into a chick. And certainly with a crack, there's a risk of bacteria getting in. And the trouble with bacteria getting into your egg in the incubator is not only is it likely to kill that chick, but it can build up and it can actually make the egg explode, which is not a mess I want to deal with. So if I had found anything like that, I would have just not put it in the incubator to start. Luckily, I didn't. The other thing that you can see that I was looking for before putting eggs into the incubator is the size of the air cell. Now, the lighter your eggshell, the easier it is going to be to see this. And as you know, the eggs that I'm incubating are mainly green, which is a mixture of blue and brown. Brown is quite hard to look through. So that's why you couldn't really see the air cell very much. If you look really closely right here, you can see where it was. It was a little bit easier to see in person than on the camera. Whenever you're candling your eggs mid-incubation, you want to be relatively fast so that there's not a big swing in temperature. So maximum 30 minutes of the eggs outside of the incubator. Make sure that your hands aren't shockingly cold. Also make sure that they're clean and dry. And what you're going to use to candle it, you can buy specific egg candlers from Amazon, from a local farm agricultural store, from lots of different places. But all it really is a bright flashlight that is set to direct the light into the egg. So you can do this yourself. Some people will use their phone. I have this bright little flashlight and I just use my hand to direct the light so it's not going to escape around the edges too much and go up through the egg so I can see what's going on. Make sure that whatever flashlight you use isn't going to heat up too much. You also don't want to burn the eggs, but if it feels comfortable on your hand, it should be fine. LED is the most common choice. So what I do is I take my egg and I put it pointy side down over the flashlight with my hand holding it in place. And what I expect to see now on day 8 is some evidence of development. If any of my eggs were completely clear, possibly with a bit of a visible yolk that might be floating up towards the top, then I would know they likely had never been fertilized and that a chick was not going to develop, and I might take them out. Although if you're kind of iffy on it, it's fine to leave those eggs in, provided the shell looks like it's nice and intact, until day 12 and then have another look. What I do see here, and what's a very good sign, is this sort of dark line along the side of the egg with a clearer area in front of it. So this darkness, this is the chick forming, and that's fantastic. And when I tilt the egg, I can also see the air cell above. So this is chick, and this right here is that air cell, which should look a little bit bigger than it did when I put the egg into the incubator in the first place. When you have an egg that is a little bit easier to see through, sometimes you can also see blood vessels developing, and that's a very good sign. You can't really see that on my green eggs, but you can on my blue egg. So here's my blue egg, and here are the blood vessels. A very bad sign to see is something called a blood circle. So that happens when the egg starts to develop into a chick, but then for whatever reason, it stops developing and the embryo dies. And there'll start to be a collection of blood around the embryo. You'll see that as a dark circle. I'm lucky, I don't actually have that happening with any of my eggs right now. So if you see that, that is a very bad sign. This is an egg that also has a higher chance of rotting and then exploding all over your good eggs in your incubator. So take that out right away, if you confidently see it. A very good thing to see, which is possible to see on day 8, is a little bit of movement. I don't see any, but that's okay, especially since I have these darker shells. If you don't see movement on day 8, don't panic, but if you do, then be a little bit excited. So 2 of my eggs don't look as much as if they have a nice solid dark area of development as the other 4. But sometimes eggs are just a little bit slow to get going. When I tilt my 2 eggs that don't have as much of this dark area of embryo, I don't see anything sort of floating around or loose. So I think that these might just be slow eggs. I will check again before lockdown and maybe take them out if then they don't have any development, but this can be a normal thing. This could be a reason why you might want to check at day 12 as well, but I think I'm probably going to just leave it until lockdown. And I keep saying lockdown, so lockdown is the last 3 days of the hatch. That's when you want the eggs to stop turning, you want the humidity to be a little bit higher, and you just don't touch them. So it's called lockdown, so you don't touch them anymore after that until you start to see the chicks come out. Okay, well, I'm feeling really optimistic about this hatch. I've got a question mark on 2 of the eggs, but I think that they have been fertilized and they are developing. They're just a little bit slower than the other 4, which is fine. I'm really excited that I didn't find a blood circle and that I didn't see any cracks or anything like that on my eggs. So they're back in the incubator now, tucked away with the humidity still around 40 because I like how much I saw the air circle come down. Generally by lockdown, you want it to be about 1/5 of the egg in terms of size for that air circle. So now it seems like it's in progress. It's always a bit of an estimation there though, so just kind of do your best to decide if you think the air circle has moved a lot, then turn your humidity up, or not moved at all, then turn your humidity down. So the next time I look at the eggs and make a video, it will be when it's time to do lockdown. So I'll have another little look at them and we'll get them all ready for that. And that video will take us all the way to the hatch. We'll see how many actually come. So I hope you come back and join me. If you feel like subscribing to see what else I'm up to, I'd love that as well. And leave a comment below. I love saying hi. Oh, I didn't like, what else should I say after that?
Leave it up to
Chickens!